Hello. I'm just waiting for my guest to come on to Taking the Leap today, and then we will get started. So we will start in a minute. We're gonna have Janice join. She should be coming on in a second. Hello, Janice.
Hello,
Hi.
Caryn.
Welcome. Welcome to Taking the Leap today. I'm Caryn Saitz. I'm your host, and I'm also CEO and founder of MastermindEX and Global Events and Retreats. And these are Taking the Leap are conversations with women who've created their dream business and changed their life. And I'm so excited to have Janice Ozguc on with me today. In full disclosure, Janice and I have known each other for probably more than 25 years.
Yeah,
I don't know.
unbelievable.
It's a long time. And we were actually both on a board together. And it was a nonprofit board, and we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. So it's truly an honor, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. So welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here, and I so appreciate you reaching out to me and making me part of Taking the Leap, because I think this is a fabulous thing that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So I want everybody to learn a little bit about Janice on where she started and her background. So can you share your background with us today?
Sure, it's kind of a little bit of a sort of background. As Caryn mentioned, we met on a nonprofit organization board, and we both were on it because we were both working in high tech. I have a long history of being in high tech. I started out my career, actually, it even goes beyond that. I started my career in the arts, and I worked at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, and kind of got into this love of tech and art conservation. And from that, it led to me looking at engineering schools and kind of going down this route. And I realized, like, I think I like the tech so much. Maybe I should do that as a career. So I went back to school again and got a master's in engineering. And that kind of like set me up like, okay, I'm not going to do art. I'll maybe collect art or something like that. But
That's a good way to use your skills, right?
Exactly. It was kind of fun because I could collect art. Now that if I go and get an engineering job, which I did, I went and lived in Japan. I worked for the Japanese, designed semiconductors, totally different from what I would have started. And then came back and worked for more big companies like likes of IBM, and still was in tech. And then at one point, I just got recruited by a startup, and I started seeing the excitement of working for a startup, which you can see, Caryn knows very well because she's been
Right.
doing them all her life. And
Exactly.
and it's just so much fun, the excitement, being able to see things happen really quickly, and the downside,
And
sometime
be
too.
part of a team, right?
Yeah, you feel really connected. You really feel like you can make a difference. And it was just so much fun. So I didn't look back. It was like, no, I'm not going to any more big companies. And so from then, now it's been, I don't know, Caryn, you probably know better than me. Sometimes it's like it's been at least probably 15 years that I've been in the startup world now. And I've joined early stage startups. I've done my own startups. I mentor for BU entrepreneurs who want to do startups, and Harvard people who want to do startups. And then as of recent, I kind of, after I dissolved my last startup, that one wasn't as successful as some others, but
But it
full
was a learning
transparency,
experience, right?
everything's a learning experience. That's what I always say to my entrepreneurs. If you fail, it's a learning experience. Just learn from it and learn
Right.
what,
And you
what
have to fail to know what to do as you move forward, right?
absolutely,
You don't have
you
to
have.
fail, in a big way, but you can still learn so much from every little move that you make.
Yeah, and in fact, I always say that you only have to be really right once, but you're going to fail a bunch of times
Right,
before that.
exactly. I mean, the percentages of startups that don't make it is, I think,
Huge.
95%, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what, when I mentor kids at BU or at Harvard, I say, you know, you got to recognize that the chances of you making it, you know, if it's even with perseverance and, sweat and blood and sweat and whatever it is, but, it's
Blood,
still,
sweat,
it
and
has
tears.
blood, sweat, and tears. It still has to be like the right time, the right demographic, the right market, everything has to
Stars have to
align.
align in order for it to really go.
Yeah, so it's not even, you can work as hard as you want and it still might not go, and you just have to learn from it and figure out as if you move to the next one, or maybe you have to pivot, and it depends where you are
Right.
in life. But so now
So
I'm
after
in
your
the
last
start.
startup, you really did decide that, you know what, now's the time to kind of sit back and think about, what do I really want to do, right? When I grow
Right.
up, right?
Exactly. When I grow up, do I want to continue? And as I get older, I think like, okay, wait a second. I have been in semiconductors and then apps and all this tech stuff. And is that really what I want to do? I'm passionate about so many things. I'm passionate about fashion. Caryn knows I love taking photography, and I still love the arts and collecting. So it's like, why don't, as I get
How do you
older,
bring them all together? Or do you bring
yeah,
them all together? Or do you focus on one? I know that's been a big sort of transition question for you, right?
yeah. And I don't know whether, I mentioned Caryn runs a mastermind group, and it's a lot about women in transition, and it's great. I was part of the group that's still ongoing. It's a pilot group, and I was at the point. It was really great and really instrumental for me, because we all get on the hot seat every so often.
Right.
Caryn makes us get on the hot seat, and
Me too. I'm in the hot seat all the
yeah,
time.
right. And we kind of like say what we're going through. And this was before I started the company I'm doing now. And it was kind of like, hey, here's all my interests, and this company I started, but it didn't go anywhere. And why was that? And so really helped you be introspective about why things didn't work, or what should you be doing?
Right.
How do I mix all these, or do I just take one of these passions? Which one do I do?
So
And
share, what did you decide?
well, what I
Did it
decided,
influence you?
absolutely, it was funny because I did the whole presentation and I talked about my photography and my mentoring, because all of these really give me satisfaction. I love photography and getting people to like my Instagram, and maybe people looking at me and saying, wow, this is great, blah blah. The mentoring is incredibly satisfying, to help these younger entrepreneurs
Right.
not make the same
To really
mistakes
give
I
back
made.
to them,
Yeah,
right?
and give back. And then I'm very passionate about dressing and clothing, and I love that. And it was funny because in the mastermind, you do your hot seat and you tell them about all your things, your passions, and what you've done in life, and kind of go through a lot of what I just did and talk about. But I'm at a stage, I'm not sure which direction to go. And so many people in the mastermind who really listen in a very, very giving back of what they believe. And so many of them said, you should do something in fashion. That seems to be where you
Your
really,
passion.
yeah, your passion. You kind of, you smile, you light up when you talk about fashion. You can't tell now because I've only got my head and my glasses and my scarf,
Right.
but in general, I like dressing. It's an expression of me. It's expression of my creativity. So it does bring in the creative nature I have. And so many people in the mastermind said, that's what you should do.
So
And it,
share with all of us what you've just started, because I have to say Janice has really gone head first, and that leap has been diving in,
yeah.
and she's done an amazing job. So can you share what you just started? And really, it was a very short time frame.
Yeah, well, thanks so much, Caryn, for saying all those positives. I really appreciate it. But well, it was funny because I kind of said I'm going to do something in fashion, and I was um, being really, passionate about fashion. Passion for fashion. I decided to work for a small boutique that was fairly close to me, and because I knew the manager, and I thought, I just want to learn clothing, and I, quite frankly, maybe being totally transparent, I could get a discount if I worked there.
Right.
you
Go
know
home with some really great things, right?
right, big benefit. So I started working, and the manager really is quite talented in merchandising and styling, and has worked in this industry for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I really started learning from her and being able to style, and I realized I loved helping women, the women that came into the store, wanted to be styled, but they were an older demographic, and they had all these rules. They were like, "Oh, don't give me a dress with a waist. Don't do this. Don't." I'm like, my God, this woman who's like the older demographic, say the 45, 50 plus, where are they finding clothes if they have all these rules? And I
But where did
started
they come
thinking,
up with these rules?
yeah, exactly. Why do you have these rules? Why do you think you can't wear these clothes? But I realized as they aged, there were things that they weren't crazy about, and they might want to accentuate some area, camouflage. So I started thinking about this demographic, like, because I am that demographic too.
Uh-huh.
Like, how can we help them? And at the same time, this woman who actually was younger than me came into the store, and we started chatting. She tells me now that she loved the way I was dressed, which I have no idea what I was wearing, but at any rate,
You
she remembered.
influenced her that day.
Exactly, I influenced her, and she started talking to me about, she's in the startup world too, about her investigation of the intersection of age and fashion, and how there's nothing for older women, there's Revolve for millennials and Gen Z, but nobody is really addressing and speaking directly to this woman in a way of giving them curated styles, showing how to do a
Mm-hmm.
style, giving them multiple brands that meet their rules. So after months, and this
Or
was
change their
probably,
rules, right?
yeah, exactly. And after months, we've probably met April or May, almost a year ago.
Wow.
Months of doing research, totally methodical and strategic about the way we approach it. It's not just our idea. We want to hear
Mm-hmm.
from the woman. So we did all this research, got amazing feedback from people, and realized that they want a single place to go to for discovery, style, and clothing that fits the way they want it, not like, that maybe covers their arms or
Mm-hmm.
covers the midriff, but still is fashion, not really fashion forward, but fashionable and fun, and makes them feel
And
great.
lights them up, right?
Exactly, like, because these women, they're still full of, our company's called V&V, and because it's
Is that
Vim
Vim
and
and
Ver.
Vigor, or is that
Vim and verb, almost
Vim and
right.
Verb?
Vim and verb, because they're full of vim and verb, and they want to be seen. And so what we did after months of research, and then going out and talking to brands and people, we decided to do a multi-brand curated website targeting this woman. And we launched it 2 weeks ago. So
Wow.
basically
Congratulations.
oh, thanks. That really means a lot. So, but and it's going, we're selling, but we know, we being a startup person, we said we got to get out there. It's not going to
Right.
be perfect, but we want to get out there because we want to hear from our potential customers. And some of them are saying to us, we love the website, it's fabulous, we love what you're doing because you're addressing us, like dressing things about the fact that you can find clothing that's different fits. We do fits. Do you want it fitted? Do you want it classic? Do you want it generous? Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to camouflage this area, accentuate this area? So things that they've never seen before that they're really loving. At the same time, they're telling us there's not enough breadth, or we'd like to see a lower price point or more varied price point. And we know that. We know
Right,
it.
right.
And
Well, you can't offer everything to everybody. So until you learn really who your customer is, you have to sort of test the waters and see where that customer is, right?
right. And you have to be super nimble. You have to be able to say, okay, we don't have as varied a price point as we'd like. So for
But come
like,
back in 2 weeks and we will.
exactly, we will. In fact, we launched right before the Coterie show in New York City, which is a huge fashion trade show in the Jacob Javits Center. We went there for 3 days, exhausting. I needed a week of rest after that,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't get it. And then actually 2 days ago, yesterday and the day before, I was at a show called NEAC in New Hampshire, again, a true fashion trade show. And as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm at another fashion
Uh-huh.
trade show taking a break. And,
Really trying to
we
figure out what's out there for your customer, right?
exactly looking at price points, looking at the types of styles that we don't have that might be attractive to this customer. And we just want to see, and just like you say, Caryn, you test it out, you change.
Right.
And hopefully at some point we'll get it right sooner than later.
Right.
We can't
And
get it
in
right.
fashion, every season is different. And
Hmm.
everything is, changes. You've got, long, short, And it's so interesting because, no matter how many times you go to these trade shows, you're constantly reinventing and constantly trying new things. It's kind of an ongoing process for that
Right.
customer, because that customer wants the newest and the latest and something exciting. And, so as they build their wardrobe and as you get to know them and you help them build that wardrobe, you're always going to be looking for the newest and freshest, right?
Right. And it's seasonal. We're constantly going to have to get the
Right.
seasonal, but you talk about the newest and freshest. That's what we're really trying to keep a vision of, offering something that they might not find. Like at these trade shows, you see, I just spoke to Seven for Mankind, and well-known
Jeans,
brand
right?
jeans, you know, we probably won't, that might not be our first offering because you can buy those anywhere.
Anyway,
We want
exactly.
we want to give somebody stuff they haven't seen that is still really fun, that's really speaks to this demographic and the way
Right.
it fits and the way the styles are, but it's a little bit different. They're also, this demographic's not afraid to be different now.
Right.
They're not
And you're
afraid
not
to.
trying to be a department store.
Yeah, we don't, absolutely, we don't want to be the department store for the older woman. We want to be
Right.
very unique, and we want to be, target them and give them something fresh to see and something that makes them feel great, but isn't something that they could just go to
Right.
Nordstrom's
And
or
keeps them
Macy's
coming
or.
back to you for something
Exact.
special each and every time.
Right. And we're constantly getting feedback even about our website as to how to make it more fresh, how to be doing this. So we are trying to be so nimble, literally a day after we're
You
launched.
got to be learning every single day, huh? I mean, is it like
Absolutely.
blowing your mind with all
Yeah.
of this?
It's just, there's so much to do and there's so much I want to do, but literally I can't stay up 24/7.
But you'll get there. You'll get there. You got to
Yeah,
take a deep breath, put your feet
I
on the
know.
ground,
Because I keep
and
on
keep
saying,
going.
yeah,
So, that's a pretty big change. I mean,
oh,
so were there keys to the way you were able to make this transition? I mean, were there things that made you say, okay, wait, I'm going to do this. And, here's what I've learned over the last couple of months, and how do you go forward, right?
well, as you can see, I kind of have made changes throughout my life. So I've kind of been someone who's not afraid of change, from the arts to engineering, from
Right.
big
So
companies
taking
to
a
small.
risk per se is part of your DNA.
Exactly, really part of my DNA, and saying, like, I can do it. I kind of have this I can do it attitude. But one thing I learned, actually, sometimes through the mastermind and by talking to you, is that when I started or tried to start companies and it's only me, I'm not as successful. I really
Mhm.
need a partner. I need to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, to kind of, I like
Right.
um, that
Yeah, it's really
collaborative
hard when you're
nature.
trying to do this alone.
Yeah,
Definitely helps to have either a group around you, but on an everyday basis to have someone that's your partner in crime, right?
exactly. Because it's just like, there's gonna be days that you're so down that things aren't going right. And then there's gonna be the highs. And on those days, like, sometimes, I might be like, oh, is this ever going to work? And then my co-founder say, I had the greatest conversation, or I got the greatest feedback. And so you can kind of bounce
It's
off
a
of each
business
other.
marriage.
Exactly, exactly. And you really, it is a marriage at the end of the
Right.
day. And so I think I realized a lot of that through talking to you, through doing Mastermind. I realized, like, I've started all these companies, but I think that I didn't have a partner, and that made me kind of get to a different certain point and not be able to push beyond.
Right. To
And so,
sustain it.
yeah, and I found this partner, and the right partner is key. I did have some businesses where maybe the partner wasn't exactly right for me, and it didn't end up as
Right.
positive as
And it
I.
takes a while to learn that, right?
Yeah, you really have to kind of assess the
Do
person and
your
see.
diligence on that person, right?
Absolutely. And when I met my partner, I thought, okay, she's got amazing pedigree, but do I get along? I really had to feel. We spent hours. Our first dinner, I think we spent 4 hours talking. And it's
It's a
just like,
date. You're dating.
yeah, yeah. So it was like, okay, do I know enough about this woman that I feel
Right.
comfortable moving forward? And I think the one key that has been the most critical in keeping this going really well with my co-founder is being totally transparent and sharing and communicating. When you, even the littlest, like, wait a second, seems like there's a little bit of tension between us, let's chat. And
Right.
really ironing things out, not letting things foster anyway, sharing the good times, sharing the bad times,
So you
sharing.
learn that from experience, right?
Absolutely. It's just, I can't, and maybe I'm wrong. Like, we will have been on a conference call or something and said, is it just that she's really tired, or is there something going on? Did I do something?
Instead of wasting all that energy and thinking, oh my God, is it this, is it that? By talking about it, it saves and you can just keep going forward, right?
Exactly. And we're just, it's so great that we have that total open conversation, and can tell each other what bugs us, but then what motivates us, things. And then at the end of the day, it seems like we always end up telling each other how much we respect each other, how much we
Well, I think
have
having,
this.
having that bigger why, having that bigger, goal and mission that's the same mission really helps with that, right?
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time. And actually, we both have that bigger goal and mission, but it's really interesting because she's very young, well, very young, younger than me. I am the demographic that we're working for. I'm the
Right.
the baby boomer. She's in her late 30s. So it's kind of like our whys are different, but we both want the same dream. We have the same vision, but our
Right.
whys are different. She's probably going to be doing this, hopefully, knock on wood, it'll be successful, and she's going to be
Mm-hmm.
doing this for another 30 years. You know, 30 years, I'm
Right.
not
You're
sure
not
what
doing that.
I'm not sure that
You're
I'm
going to
even
be
going to be
off
around.
taking photos in the French Riviera at
Right. And
Quiberon,
yeah,
someplace,
it was funny because at the very beginning, this was before website, just like things, she joked about, we should figure out what our 1 year, 5 year, 15 year, 20 year goals are. And I go, 20 years from now, you got to be kidding.
Right.
I'm good at 1 in 5 or maybe 1 in 3, but after
Right.
that, it's like, who knows what I'm going to be doing?
Exactly.
Because
Exactly. So there's a question on the screen that says, is this in the Boston area? And actually, it's online. I mean,
right.
this is an online platform
Right.
for clothing.
It's called, the website is www.shop, SHOP, V,
The letter V.
V, Victor, and the letter N, Nancy, VVictor.com. And the V and V stands for Vim and Vigor, or Vim and Verve, actually,
Exactly.
because this woman is full of that. And if you go on that site now, we have a limited amount of brands. There's only 7, 5 apparel and 2 jewelry. We are, as I mentioned, if you were on the podcast earlier, we are literally adding new brands and closing the choices and doing the contract as we speak. And we're going to be doing a photo shoot at the beginning of April, probably. But before then, we will start putting in a new tab that says just in, because
Yep.
until we can get these clothing into our photo shoot, curated the way we want to curate them, we're just going to use some of their photographs and just show
So
you
not
what we're
even to
adding.
choose. They're going to be able to buy them,
They're
but
going
in
to
a
be able
different
to,
way.
right. And then once we do the photo shoot, the whole concept of the photo shoot is to curate them, show you how they're styling. Our head stylist has been around forever. She's the one that manages the store that I worked at. And we put all brands together, somebody's top, somebody else's pants, somebody else's jacket, whatever, and we show you a concept of styling. And then
Full
you can
look.
buy, right, and we're going to be putting in our website, buy the outfit if you want. That's not there yet. This is a work in progress, and we want to hear you. If we'd love to hear your feedback. We are open to all feedback. Like I said, we heard that more breadth of clothing. What kind? If you want swimsuits, we're looking at swimsuits. Might not be the
Right.
best next step, but we want to hear what you want to see, and we'll be
Right.
adding more clothes. We'll be adding
And
more
testing new
varied.
brands and
Exactly.
new
Except
styles and so until you find that right mix for the right woman, right?
exactly, and we'll be doing different advertising to different demographics. We have a lot of Instagram influencers. Our Instagram feed, which is kind of strange, called Shop V and V, VIENVIE, Shop V and V. Um, you really can't shop there yet, but we will be putting a lot of our clothes on the website, and you will soon be able to say, let me buy it. Right now, we started the Instagram along before we launched. So what we did, we put women that we thought were this demographic and were inspired us. So it's more of an inspirational
It's kind of like mood
Instagram.
boards.
Yeah, exactly. And now that we have clothing, we can start putting more of our clothing on
Right.
the Instagram feed. I'm not sure that we'll ever abandon the idea of just showing women who inspire us, because I think Instagram women who inspire this demographic, we want to
Well, I think we
celebrate.
all need inspiration to decide what we actually want to buy, right?
Exactly. So I know that's been some confusion for some people, because they say, I want to buy everything on the Instagram feed. Well, we don't sell everything on our Instagram feed, but
But it's today's Vogue magazine. I mean, think about it.
exactly.
You know, you would buy a whole stack of magazines and go through InStyle and Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and all of these things. And then, you know, and today that, I mean, you know, seeing the Instagram feed is that's our magazine of today, right?
Exactly. And so that's what we do. We show people that we really love, and they've allowed us to repost. And some of these women are going to be influencers, receive our clothes and be able to model them. On our site, we have what's called a live shop. So we're going to be doing little fashion shows with these women, or even maybe even with us or with friends, and
Uh-huh.
you'll be able to see the clothing up close, modeled on people, and then be able to buy it right then and there
Right.
during the live video. And so that'll
That's a
be
great
really
option,
fun.
and it's something that other people aren't doing. So that's really nice.
Yeah, I think
So
that's really big right now.
before we wrap up, I want to ask you from a sort of bigger macro picture, if there were a couple of things that you wish that people had shared with you before you started this journey, that you would share with someone else who's thinking about jumping in and going for something that they really want to do. Can you share a couple of things that come to mind that you would have liked to have known?
um, Well, I guess it's not only for this journey, but I think all of my startup journeys that I've had is kind of goes back to some of the things we were saying, is that you just really have to have patience, perseverance, and just not be afraid to fail and just pick yourself up, because I think that's the thing. You have to pick yourself up and not be, you have to be able to,
Resiliency.
yeah, be resilient, but you have to be able to feel the negative. I always think of it like a wave. Recognize that you're disappointed, something didn't work, but then get over it and move on. And sometimes I think that if I had recognized some of that during my early days, and also you have to really be more introspective, recognize it took me a while to realize, like, I shouldn't be doing companies just by myself. And I just would really encourage people to be really, if you want to start a company, be really introspective, and really, do you have what it takes? Because I'm not saying it bad. Not everybody can do this.
Right.
It's not in everybody's DNA to really go through the highs and lows of a startup.
There's also different versions, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to do a huge platform. You could do something that is smaller. You can do
Hmm.
something slower. You can keep your day job and do something as a side hustle. You can freelance. I mean, there's a lot of different flavors of how to go out there and create something.
Right, and I think I would kind of encourage people, encourage people to really understand what is their goal, or what would be acceptable, or what defines success to them, because everybody sees the great successes in life, the Facebooks, the
Right.
Instagrams, the TikToks, the this, whatever it is. We're all not that. We're all not going for $1 billion company. And
Right.
really, just what would make you happy? Like you say, do you just want a side hustle, and is that really satisfying, and see it grow a little bit? Do you just want a cottage industry and make
Right.
enough money to kind of be happy, so,
And
maintain a
enjoy your life.
lifestyle?
You know, I
Yeah,
mean, you're starting this, you're over 40 years old, you have a family, you have other, you have obligations in the community, you have other things going on. So where do you want to put your focus and your time, right?
right, exactly. And so I think that I just really encourage people to be very early on, really listen to their heart, listen to their reasons for why they want to do this. And if it's not really in your DNA, maybe you do something else, or you do want to do so. You're not going for the, you know, billion or, you know, $100 million sellout. Like, why do you want to do this? Because if it's not,
Right.
there's going to be such highs and such lows that if you don't have that passion to get through those lows,
It's
then
difficult.
it's
Well, or
difficult.
start the way you did, where you went and sort of almost apprenticed, right?
Right.
By working in the shop and learning from someone to say, is this something I want to go into full time, right?
Right. Like, you know, some people joke me sometimes and say, you know, I have more stamina to look at clothes than anybody years ago. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I guess that's good because I look at clothes for days. Like if I could
Right.
show you what I've
Now
looked
you're
at in the
doing it
last,
full time, right?
yeah, and I'm not buying them, which is good. So I'm not spending all the money.
It's kind of like the person in the ice cream shop. They stopped eating ice cream, right?
Exactly. Well, I always tell when I walk into one of our brands showrooms, I'm like a kid in a candy store, but I don't have to buy them. It's like, okay, let's have this for our website. Let's have this. So it's kind of like I'm choosing them, but I'm not putting out hundreds of
But you're getting
dollars
that
to.
same satisfaction from the
Exactly.
experience, right?
Yeah, and I go and see some amazing clothes and I take down the names like, when I want a sweater, I'm going to Google this line because I'm
Right,
not sure
right.
that we're going to carry it. But, you know, I get to see these amazing clothes. And like people say, I never tire of it.
This is a
So,
good thing.
yeah, so this is a good thing for me. It doesn't make me spend as much money, but it gives me the satisfaction of seeing great
Exactly. And
clothing and
you get to watch other people spend their money doing it.
right. And you know the other thing is for the I don't know whether we're going to be able to sustain this long term, but we usually try on everything that we offer because we do the V&V take, which will say this pair of pants has a little bit of spandex in it. So, you know, it will give. So if you
Uh-huh.
want this, or we'll say something about, oh, this blazer, the arms run a little bit tight, so you might want to size up. And you know, so we give people really valuable data on our website. We just don't say like, oh, a spring jacket that's like
Right.
kind of fluff. We want to constantly give you information that will help you make a decision on an item, decision on the fit, how to
And
wear
it's
it.
firsthand. You
Yeah,
know, it's not even secondhand. It's like you're literally physically trying these on and feeling it,
right,
touching it, understanding how it fits, you know,
right.
and how it would fit somebody else.
Right, exactly. And you know, if you're, we have this thing on it because I'm 5 feet, you can't tell, but I'm 5 feet tall and rather petite. And so we have this thing where we call it, I don't know, I think we put something like co-founder Janice approved because we don't carry a petite line yet. But if I try on a pant that was like a cropped and it still
Right.
fits me great and looks really cute, maybe not as cropped as for a 5'5" or 5'6", but I say this is still adorable. So petite approved, you know. And
You
so
got it.
we try to give you know, all the people that might come onto our site some kind of value, and
Right.
you know, we'll grow, we'll do more.
Well, thank you for being here today. I know you're at a show. I know you want to go back to work and see what else is out there. But for everyone, I will actually put their website up when I post this. I will also post this on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. And thank you for being here. And I really appreciate you being part of Taking the Leap. It makes me, I can't tell you how excited I am for you and to have you here. So thanks, Janice. Have a great day, everybody. We have one more conversation this week and two next week with great women. So follow us, and I look forward to having you join our conversation. So thanks again.
Thank you, it's been the best.
All right. Have a great day. Enjoy.
Yeah,
Bye-bye,
you
everyone.
too. Bye bye.